Welcome. In this lesson, I'm going to introduce you to a new unit of measure for angles. Now, I want to relate it to length. Length, we can measure length in inches or centimeters. And I think most students are comfortable with that. Oh yeah, they realize that an inch is longer than a centimeter, or 1 inch equals 2.54 centimeters is the actual conversion rate. Well, students haven't heard of radians. Now, radians, 1 radian is a lot bigger than a degree. In fact, 1 radian is the same as 57.2958 something radians. In other words, a radian is a lot bigger than a degree measure. In fact, the way we come up with radians, or the way mathematicians decided to come up with a radian, is to use the circumference of a circle, or use the number pi. So it's better to think of the conversion rate at 360 degrees, which is 1 time around the circle, 1 revolution, 360 degrees, is the same as 2 pi radians. Where do we get 2 pi from? Basically, it's the circumference of a circle in a sense. We usually times that by r, but let's not worry about the rate. Just the 2 pi is the same as 360 degrees, 2 pi radians. Or even better yet, cut that in half, since both are divisible by 2. Halfway around the circle is 180 degrees, or pi radians. Whoops, I didn't mean to put an equals there. I meant to just say pi radians. Pi radians. So as you go to do these problems, if you are converting from degrees to radians, what you're going to do is you're going to multiply by pi radians over 180 degrees. And the reason we do that is, think of this right here. I'm going to divide by 180, and that's equal to 1. This really is just the ratio of 1. Just like 1 inch over 2.54 centimeters would be equal to 1. And then you reduce. 45 goes into 180 a certain number of times. Well, how many times does it go into 180? It goes into it 4 times. So that becomes a 1, this becomes a 4, and the degrees are canceled, and we get pi fourths radians. Pi fourths, this first one right here. So we click that. Okay, now as we move forward, again, all you need to remember is if you're going from degrees to radians, what you want to do is multiply by a pi, technically in radians, over 180 degrees, because 180 degrees is the same as pi radians. That ratio is 1. Then you reduce. 30 goes into 180 6 times. So it would be pi over 6, or pi 6 radians. Eventually, I believe, we're going to get some. Now we're not even doing multiple choice, but the process is exactly the same. Maybe I'll do this one. Going from 210 degrees, I'm going to multiply by pi over 180. And then I'm going to reduce. Both of these are divisible by 10, so that's 18. That's 21. And both of those are divisible by 3, so that's going to be 6. This is going to be 7, so 7 pi over 6. So what I would type in is a fraction of 7 pi over 6, or 7 pi 6 is the way it's stated. I'm going to jump ahead because I'm pretty sure they're eventually going to get to some where you're going to go from radians to degrees. Right here, if I want to go from radians to degrees, so I have this pi over 10 radians, what I'm going to do is I'm going to multiply by the reciprocal of what I have been. I'm going to multiply by 180 degrees over pi radians. Because what that happens is the radians cancel. In fact, the pi's cancel, which is really nice. And then I reduce the 180 over 10 and get a degree measure of 18 degrees. So again, to go from radians to degrees, I multiply by 180 degrees over pi radians. That's the unit conversion. to go from radians to degrees. So I times that by my 4 pi over 9. The pi's cancel. The 9 goes into 180 20 times, and 20 times 4 is 80. You would get 80 degrees. So 4 pi ninths is 80 degrees. If you have questions on this or need continual help, just please bring those questions to class. But just remember to go from degrees to radians, multiply by pi over 180. To go the other direction, from radians to degrees, that was horrible, to degrees, multiply by 180 over pi. And we will see you in next class period.